Today on CityCast Nashville, I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. Father Christmas himself. That's right, Kris Kringle, Old Saint Nick. Oh, let's just cut to the chase. We've got Santa here to spread some holiday cheer. The first half of this episode is kid-friendly as Santa shares his insights on the magic of Christmas in Nashville and even answers questions from our listeners. But in the second half, it's time for those kiddos to take a break as we have a more grown-up conversation to get to know the man behind the jolly red suit and beard. Consider this episode our Christmas gift to those of you who celebrate. It's an exclusive interview you won't hear anywhere else. It's Wednesday, December 18th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about.
Merry Christmas.
I cannot believe we were able to get this exclusive interview with you at your busiest time of year. Thank you so much for making time for CityCast Nashville.
I will admit it's quite busy up here at the North Pole. The elves are driving me crazy. We're having some supply chain issues, getting all the right toys in at the right time. But I have been assured everything is going to get here just when it needs to be, just in a few weeks from now. So no need to worry. Everything's looking great, and I can't wait to come to Nashville and see everybody.
Ooh, what's your favorite part about Nashville?
What is my not favorite part? I love everything about Nashville. It's so easy to find when I'm zipping around on Christmas Eve, that big tower downtown with the big ears on it. I think you guys call it the Batman building, something like that. Well, trust me, when you're way up in the sky and you're going as fast as I have to go, it's easy to find Nashville, and then I can find all the kids from there.
Well, I was going to ask, has your sleigh ever got caught on the Batman building spires?
No, usually they make sure they light it up quite well for me. So I also have Rudolph at the front of the pack. And Rudolph can see a lot further out than I can with his big, bright red nose. So he always avoids the obstacles for me. And we've never crashed yet.
So has Nashville been naughty or nice this year?
I will admit I've been to Nashville several times already, just since Thanksgiving, and most kids have been really, really good. Although it seems like some of the grown-ups have been looking for trouble here, and they're quick to tell me when somebody else in the family hasn't been very nice. It seems there's a general trend in Nashville that kids are good most of the time, except when I come to visit and I look in their rooms, and the rooms are always a mess. But then I will actually tell the kids about that, and they promise me the rooms will be clean between now and Christmas Day and look sparkling by the time I get there. And I always tell them I'll make sure I leave them something extra special under the Christmas tree when they do that.
Kids, if you're listening, you better clean your rooms. Well, Santa, what is the number one thing kids are asking for this year? Is there a new hot gadget or a toy that everyone keeps chatting about, that you keep hearing about?
I think what's impressed me this year is that kids don't want any of the fancy new toys out there. I actually get a lot of requests for Hot Wheels from the boys. And the girls, they always want American Girl dolls. And haven't those been around for quite a while? At least that's what all the elves tell me. Some of the new stuff that I've heard about is there's some Furbies out there, some rainbow colors. Do you have a Furby, Marie?
What is a Furby?
It's this little, I can't just find a child. He will describe a Furby for you. How about that?
I have no children. I don't know. I thought kids were into iPhones. They're always trying to grab my phone.
Phones have been a popular item. People have requested it this year, but mainly flip phones.
Oh, I love that. Honestly, I might go back to a flip phone at this stage in my life.
Yes, Santa Claus, I don't have a telephone. I rely on all of my elves to be with me and keep me informed of the latest and greatest. I do have a little bit of technology in the sleigh. I have one of those GPS things where I can type in an address and it will magically take me there. But usually I stick to my normal route, and I haven't missed a child yet. So keep your fingers crossed. This will be another great year for me. I can see everybody just in the nick of time.
That is so impressive, Santa. I want to know, what's your favorite part about being Kris Kringle?
I will be honest, I get to talk to a lot of children. And many children, they're not real sure what to think about me because they've been raised on the stranger danger rule. If you see somebody that doesn't look right, you actually go the other way. But when they see me, they see a big, round guy dressed in a red suit, big white beard. He laughs a lot, always has a good time. And pretty soon those doubting kids will warm up to me and we'll get to talking. But at the end of my conversation, I always ask for a hug. And there's nothing more special than Santa getting a hug from a child and the child getting a hug from Santa. And we both say, I love you. That's what being Santa is all about. So have you been a good little girl this year, Marie?
No.
No, Santa Claus doesn't want to hear that now.
No, I'm quite good. I try. I balance it out.
Now, I've been checking up on you, in your room.
Uh-oh.
I have checked your room, and it's a little cluttered at times. So remember, keep it clean for Santa Claus, and do everything your mommy and daddy ask you to do, and I'll make sure I leave you a special present under the Christmas tree.
Well, Santa, actually, I have a little bit of a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh, what have I done now?
Well, I just want to know, when I was 5 years old, I worked very hard on writing you a poem, and I left it for you next to the cookies. And when I woke up the next day, the cookies were gone. However, my eloquent poem that I had written, you had left it right there. And so I cried for days. And I just wanted to know, did you see it? And if yes, why didn't you take it with you to show Mrs. Claus?
I didn't take it with me because I have a very full sleigh. And every year I have to get a bigger sleigh to hold all of the toys I'm taking around to all the kids. But I always have one of my elves with me everywhere that I go. And keep in mind, my elves are a lot more technically savvy than I am. And they usually will have a camera or one of those fancy phones with them. And they always take pictures of everything. So they took a picture of your poem. We actually have it posted back up at the North Pole in the Elf's Lounge. And we read it every year, and we think about you, Marie. And we always arrange to have something extra special for you.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel a lot better. My inner child is healed.
Very good. That's what Santa likes to hear.
All right. Well, I really want to know. So sometimes, the world can feel a little bit dark and heavy. How do you always stay so jolly?
I'm up at the North Pole, so I don't watch the news each and every day. I focus on the most important thing, and that's the kids of the world. And the kids, when they are feeling good, the whole world is so much better. So that's the reason when you see me, I'm always in a good mood because I'm usually surrounded by kids. They're happy. I'm happy. I radiate happiness, and the world is a much better place like that. Focus on what's close to you, and I guarantee you'll be happy most all the time.
Thank you, Santa. We had listeners write in with questions for you. So I'm going to do this in a lightning round.
Okay, I am ready.
All right. How do you go to so many houses in one night?
Well, here's the trick that most people don't understand, is I have a totally different perspective on time. I've been up for just like 5 minutes, even though my elves tell me I've been up for almost 2 days straight now trying to get everything done. But 2 days feels like 5 minutes to me. And that's the reason on Christmas Eve, when I start my trip all around the world delivering every present to every boy and girl, I can get it done so fast. And it seems like a very short time to you. But trust me, for me, it's a really, really long day.
Where's your favorite place in the world to deliver presents?
Where is my favorite place? I haven't seen a house yet that I haven't loved.
Solid answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
How do your elves make presents?
They actually watch YouTube, believe it or not. My elves, again, they're pretty high tech and more savvy than I am. But as we look at new toys that we want to make and we're not real sure how to operate a new machine or how to create a toy, they actually disappear on me in their break room in the back of the elf shop. And they look at YouTube videos and they figure out how to do new stuff. And so I just look at it and marvel at what they can do. And there hasn't been a toy yet that they haven't been able to build for me.
That's how I learned how to cook, from YouTube.
Really? All right. Santa doesn't know how to cook, but Santa knows how to eat. And keep the milk and cookies coming in, boys and girls. Santa loves the milk and cookies.
What's your favorite cookie?
Well, what's your favorite cookie, Marie?
Ooh, I love a snickerdoodle.
That's my favorite cookie, too. How did you know that? Oh, my gosh. No wonder I love you so much, Marie.
I love you, Santa. Do the reindeers ever misbehave and maybe eat your cookies?
I actually have over 40 reindeer up at the North Pole. And the 8 stars, they always make it out on Christmas Eve. And then Rudolph's at the very front. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer. Well, you know all of my all-star reindeer. And do they get in a little bit of trouble during the off-season? They probably do when I'm not looking. But when I'm looking at them, they're always on their best behavior because they want to make sure they stay in front of Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, pulling that sleigh all around the world.
All right, here's the most important question. Is your beard made of whipped cream?
No, my beard is made of hair. And I know that because many times when I'm talking to young kids, they reach up and they grab my beard and they pull really, really hard. And trust me, I feel that every time. So if it was made of whipped cream, I'm pretty sure kids would be eating my beard and that wouldn't look good in pictures. So this is a very real beard.
Do you really read all the letters you get? That must take forever.
I will admit my elves do most of the reading. And when I go to visit people at home before Christmas, I always have an elf with me who's taking notes to make sure I don't forget anything. But you're right, I can't read all the letters because there are so many of them. But trust me, somebody in the crew, one of the elves, they read each and every single letter.
Wow. I want to thank all the listeners who wrote in, all the kids that sent us your questions for Santa. If any kids have more questions that we didn't answer, where can they find you?
All they have to do is tell their mom or dad they need to get a letter to me up at the North Pole. They'll take that letter and they will make sure I get the message. No need to worry. I haven't missed one yet.
Wonderful. Oh, well, thank you, Santa. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have some solo time for parents to ask you some questions without the kiddos in the room.
All right, admit it. It's time to replace your not-so-trusty old boots. You know the best place to shop for quality, handcrafted men's and women's boots is at your local Tacova store, at the Mall at Green Hills, or on Broadway by the Ryman. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from, so stop by and grab a cold one as you peruse. Tacova's Nashville is at your service. It's always a challenge to find boots that fit well and can survive a night walking around town, but you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of Tacova's expert staff. Your new Western boots can elevate a casual look or add a refined flair to any outfit. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tacovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all.
We are back with Santa Claus, a.k.a. Chuck, Santa Chuck. You're a real person.
Yes, I am very much a real person. I'm Santa Claus maybe 30 days out of the year, but the rest of the time I feel like I'm Santa Claus, but I just don't dress like Santa Claus.
Well, yeah, you look just like Santa Claus without even the red and white outfit. Do you get stopped often throughout the year?
Very often. Mainly parents recognize me as a potential Santa Claus. Kids don't really understand that I could be Santa Claus until much closer to Christmas. During the rest of the year, they're not thinking about Christmas. They're thinking about whatever's right in front of them. But come Christmas time during the month of December, I can be just walking down the street, minding my own business, and a child will suddenly run up and hug me. And I have to remember I've got that Santa Claus persona, and they're making sure they get in all the good stuff right before Christmas so they never miss a chance to hug Santa Claus. Nothing can beat that.
Oh, well, when did you decide to become Santa?
This was about 40 years ago. I used to put on a bunch of Christmas lights on my house, and I was looking for something to make my house different than every other house on the block that had Christmas lights. So I decided I was going to be Santa Claus in front of the house. I remember I went to the discount store and I bought a Santa Claus outfit, paid $25 for this thing. It included some red sweatpants. I had a white T-shirt with red markings on it that kind of looked like Santa's jacket. They gave me a Santa cap. And for the beard, it was a piece of shag carpeting. I remember I put that outfit on and I felt really, really silly wearing it. But I thought, well, I'd give it a shot. And I walked out in front of my house with all the Christmas lights blinking. And a car pulled up and stopped. And suddenly all the windows rolled down on my side of the car. And I look inside and there are these kids in there and their eyes were as big around as saucers. And I walked up to the car, and the kids started jabbering a mile a minute, and I suddenly realized I had no idea what Santa Claus was supposed to say. Mm-hmm. And so all I could think of doing was going, ho, ho, ho. And every time the kid would say something or ask a question, I would just go, ho, ho, ho. But luckily, the parents in the front seat, they knew to ask leading questions to the kids, like, Billy, be sure and tell Santa what you want for Christmas this year. The child would say it, and I would go, ho, ho, ho. And I remember when that car finally left, I turned around and ran into my house. I was so embarrassed. So after that, I started working on my Santa Claus pattern, and slowly but surely started getting better Santa suits. And then just a few years ago, I actually grew my Santa beard. So I am a member of the International Brotherhood of Real Bearded Santas now. I actually go to Santa conventions and Santa schools, and there's a whole bunch of us that do our level best to make sure that we are great Santas when we're in front of the kids.
Oh, wow. So you're fully trained.
Trust me, Santas take our jobs very, very seriously. We know how important it is to spread the good cheer all around the world. And if you find a bad Santa, let me know, and I'll make sure he becomes a good Santa.
Do kids tell you their hopes and dreams? And what are you hearing this year?
I don't get a lot of hopes and dreams, but sometimes I get some very emotional requests. Sometimes kids will come to me and I'll ask them what they want for Christmas, and they'll think and think and think, and then reach around and whisper in my ear stuff like, can you make my brother happy again? Or can you make my mother well? And just real tear-jerking type stuff like that. And there's not much Santa can say other than let them know how much that they're loved. But sometimes being Santa is hard when you get stuff like that. Most of the time, being Santa is the best job ever.
What's the craziest thing that a kid has ever asked you?
I will have to admit, I've had so many over the years, they all kind of blur together here. Many times they want Santa Claus to deliver to them a live pet, like a dog or a cat. And my standard line is that the pets, they don't travel well in the sleigh coming down from the North Pole, so only the parents can take care of something like that. So I shift the burden back on the parents. And other weird stuff, I think I had one time I had a child ask for a live kangaroo. I still don't know why they wanted a kangaroo, but luckily that was a live animal. And again, Santa does not deliver live animals, so I didn't have to worry about making sure the child got one of those.
Smart answer, though. Very just smart to throw it back to the parents.
That's one of the tricks that Santa knows that most parents don't quite catch until they realize that I'm doing it, putting them on the hot seat.
What's the weirdest location you've ever appeared at?
I was the Santa at the factory at Franklin Mall for several years. And that's a very unique place for several reasons, but it's an old factory that they converted into a shopping mall. Now, when they worked with me in the beginning, they wanted to have a fancy chair for Santa to sit in, a big throne, like all that really over-the-top stuff you see at a big shopping mall. But I said, no, this place is very different. I don't want anything special. I'm just going to walk around and interact with kids as they're walking through the mall. And that was the most fun I've had as Santa Claus, because I would just be walking along and kids would have no idea Santa was going to be in the building. And they would just walk up on me and the eyes would get so big around. And some kids would just run up and hug me. Other kids would literally run to the other end of the hall to avoid me. But a lot of times kids would just come up and I would find a chair. I'd sit down and Santa Claus always makes sure that he talks to the child at eye level. And I would just talk to that child in their natural environment. And that meant so much to me and it meant so much to the child because it's just very, very natural. And that was, I'm not going to say it's the most unusual place, but it seemed the most natural place for Santa Claus to be.
What do you do about the crying babies?
How can I put this the right way? This is mainly for parents. That when your child is crying when they first see Santa Claus, chances are really good that child is going to keep right on crying no matter what you do. There's a trend where the parents will try to thrust their child into Santa Claus's lap, get that quick picture. But trust me, when the child is crying, when he goes onto Santa Claus's lap, he's probably going to keep on crying because he's quite scared of everything going on. So what I usually like to do is talk very softly to a child, even when the child is crying. And I just look him in the eye. And I've been known to offer him a candy cane to try to bribe the child if I can. And many times I get lucky and the child will settle down and pretty soon I become the child's best friend. But the trick is Santa's got to do his magic. If the parents try to force it, it just very seldom works. So that's a hint, parents. Don't try to force it. Let the child naturally warm up to Santa Claus. And don't worry, it will happen.
Oh, trust in Claus.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it seems like it's natural that you're Santa at Cheekwood again this year. Have you done it before?
I've been Santa at Cheekwood several times, yes.
Oh, cool. Well, describe where they have you sitting and tell us what it's like to come visit you there.
They have me, it's back below the mansion in where the stables used to be. It's very close to the big Frisk Learning Center from what they tell me. Mm-hmm. It's a very intimate environment. When a family comes to talk to Santa Claus, it's just me and the family, and there are no distractions anywhere. We're right next to a big old Christmas tree, and it's truly a photo moment. And trust me, I can't tell you how many hundreds of thousands of pictures that I have been in, and many of them have been at Cheekwood. And so when you come, you do have to wait in line. Sometimes the line moves pretty fast. Sometimes it's a little slow because I'm not on any kind of timetable. I talk to the child as long as the child wants to talk. And some children don't want to leave Santa Claus. But again, we just talk until they get tired of talking. I'll give them a little treat, get a hug from them, and we get our pictures made and just have a great time. So highly recommend Cheekwood. I'll have to admit, I flew by there just the other night when they had all their lights turned on. And oh my gosh, that was impressive. Way more lights than we have up at the North Pole. And they even took me on a tour of the mansion. Mm-hmm. Some of the trees they have decorated are truly over the top and really, really beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I've been told someone from used to decorate the White House has now done the inside of Cheekwood Mansion. And I highly recommend it. If you have a chance to go there, make the effort. It's well worth it. And you might even be able to see me while you're there.
Are there reindeer there as well?
They have had reindeer in the past, but now I've got to deal with them that I keep the reindeer on the roof. Oh. And the reason for that is on occasion I might have to make an emergency trip somewhere to take care of an issue with another child. And so I need to have my reindeer on hot standby at all times. So you can sometimes look up on the roof of the Frisk Learning Center and maybe catch a glimpse of the reindeer. But they're kind of bashful, but maybe you'll get lucky. You'll never know until you try it.
Well, Santa, a.k.a. Chuck Smith, it has been such a pleasure talking to you. I hope you get to take a long vacation after this Christmas holiday.
Well, thank you very much, Marie. I want you to have a Merry Christmas, you and your friends, and remember, keep your room clean. I'll be watching. Merry Christmas, Marie. Ho, 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 ho.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!